Rasheeda had shut down her shoot hours earlier, so she wasn't meant to be there, but she went back anyway. It was supposed to be another scene change on the set. A calm evening with the lights off and the cameras off. But in a matter of seconds, mayhem broke out. Rasheeda wasted no time in storming into Kirk Frost's dressing room and confronting him, shouting, "You think I wouldn't find out?" He had another woman sitting on his lap, lipstick smeared, laughing in his ear as though she owned him, could even tolerate her palm slapping loudly across his face, ending the story. Kirk staggered back as the woman leaped up and ran, shocking the cast and crew. Although the room was filled with smoke from betrayal and strong emotions, the harm had already been done. Everyone is wondering if this is the last blow to the most toxic love story in hip-hop. While producers are in a panic and fans are in shock, what Rasheeda did next would rock their entire universe. She had voice notes, photos, and texts as proof that she wasn't keeping quiet this time. The smack sounded like a gunshot in the studio hallways. And Kirk's face became silent. Kirk stood there, his hand slowly rising to his face in amazement, without saying anything. By the time his eyes found the doorway, the mysterious woman had already left, leaving so quickly that she said, "This is what you've been doing behind my back," in a trembling voice after everything we had gone through together. Rasheeda wasn't done, and the few crew members in the area weren't sure whether to go or continue filming. But the cameras didn't stop. Kirk stumbled after all the times "I've forgiven you," and then he said, "Baby, it's not what it looks like." Rasheeda screamed, "Don't you dare bathe me." She held out her phone and said, "You think I didn't know? You think I didn't?" It was crowded, electrified, and on the verge of blowing up. One of the cast members who had heard the disturbance as they slipped in from the corridor mumbled, "Yo, what's going on?" But nobody responded. "I could tell when you were lying to me," despite her trembling palms. Rasheeda took a deep breath and made an effort to control her tears. She flipped her phone over and showed Kirk a string of messages, asking, "You think I don't know her name? You think I don't know how long this has been going on?" Kirk's face grew white as he continued, "Listen, I didn't want it to go that far. It was just a mistake," before turning away from the TV. Something went wrong. When Rasheeda said, "You've been seeing her for a long time," her voice trembled. "Yan, dandy." It hurt like hell and wasn't ending abruptly. It wasn't simply another argument or some meaningless drama from a reality show. What the onlookers were hearing was unbelievable. "Weeks, Kirk. You brought her to our set, which was a very stupid move. Do you truly have that much courage? Or are you really that dumb?" A producer informed them that something was happening, so they hurried inside the room. Rasheeda's tears, her solemn face, and Kirk's contrite manner made her realize that something horrible had occurred. She muttered softly, "Come on, girl, let's just step out for a second," after approaching. Kirk was still when Rasheeda returned to him. "How could you do this to me again after all these years? After all the public embarrassment, after raising your other hand?" she inquired. With a firm no, she replied, "I've been stepping out for years, stepping aside, stepping back. Not today, kids. As if they were mine after you defended me in a dispute with my own family, and I did the same." His voice was hardly audible, but Kirk opened his mouth to speak. "Injured you." Though it was too late, Rasheeda laughed bitterly. Tension began to build as soon as the hallway was filmed. Before long, their phones were exchanging messages. One phone Scrappy, who had just left the set, while another attempted to contact Mimi, warning her, "You need to get back here. It's bad." Rasheeda wasn't letting up, though. And she checked her phone again and discovered a picture of the woman clicked play on the voice note. And Kirk's jaw tightened as she said, "He told me he's just with Rasheeda for business." Her voice filled the room with laughter. "He said he doesn't even sleep with her anymore." "I didn't want you to hear that, but what's going on in here?" Kurt asked, closing the door before he could respond, then rushing in with a look of both horror and excitement. Coldly, Rasheeda said, "So tell me, Was that real? That how you talk to the ladies you cheat with about me? Mama D arched her eyebrows and looked up and down at Perk, saying, "Damn, Kirk, you just can't quit, can you?" she said. "You hid him, Rasheeda." And when Rasheeda snapped to attention, she added, "If you knew what he did, you'd hit him too." Kirk shook his head to regain control. "But this isn't what it appears that you are always ready to judge me, but you are unaware of the whole reality. Why was this woman phoning you at such a late hour? How did she enter your dressing room? And why did I discover hotel receipts and Uber rides on your phone? 'Twas simply, I don't know, just occurred. I made a mistake, but it wasn't like I wasn't attempting to establish a new connection beforehand. Everything just happens," Rasheeda reiterated in a cynical tone. "And Kirk took your business card and scratched his face before he sat down in despair. When you lied, cheated, and humiliated me on national television, it was simply another accident. When Yandandi attempted to intervene once more, requesting that we speak in private and put an end to this before it worsened, Rasheeda reiterated, this isn't just my problem anymore. He made it public, so since it's now going public, she launched. Her Instagram app pressed the live button and aimed the camera at Kirk, who had opened his eyes. Say hello to the fans, she said sourly, and be sure to share your latest activities with them. Come on, don't do this, Rasheeda. Kirk, what's going on? Why is she crying? Tick T. With whom do you cheat? The live stream went from a few hundred to thousands of viewers in a matter of seconds. It was too late though, as fans were already deluging the live feed with comments. Everybody desired to Kirk, got up and yelled, "Please don't do this, Rasheeda," when her voice broke again. But she wasn't paying attention to the tears. As she spoke to the camera, her voice trembling, Rasheeda said, "No, if we were good, because Kirk is still the same guy who is lying and cheating, and I'm done acting." "I gave you everything," she whispered, "and you gave me nothing but pain." The live feed abruptly ended when Yandi grabbed the phone and slammed it off, yelling, "Enough, you." The tears that were running down her cheeks were the result of years of suppressed anger rather than grief. This doesn't need to be done live. So let's just get you out of here. The harm had already been done though, as the screen went blank. The internet was already humming, the blobs were already taking it, and the same enigmatic woman was already creating her own. The tempest now was far worse than the sting of the slap. And as Yandandi carefully dragged Rasheeda away from the chaos, Kirk stood by himself in the middle of the room, surrounded by quiet embarrassment and murmurs. Despite Rasheeda's belief that the worst was past, fans, particularly those who had watched the pair endure battle after battle in the dressing room for more than 10 years, were outraged by the treachery. Within 5 minutes, the segment from Rasheeda's Instagram Live was downloaded, reposted, and circulated on all of the main gossip websites. After defending Kirk to friends for years, Rasheeda collapsed into a chair and covered her face with her hands. In front of her, Yandandi crouched and gripped her hands, whispering, "You don't have to be strong right now." Rasheeda's sobs came, quickly, recklessly, and uncontrollably. Fans of acting like nothing was wrong let it all out in that moment. And Kirk was pacing the hallway like a man who was going to break his phone due to the constant buzz of texts from his co-stars. His publicist, his kids, and even Mama Scotty. Not only was her heart broken, it was worn out. He came to a silent corner and saw Scrappy leaning against the wall, his face impassive, his arms folded. "Yo," Perk said. Kirk couldn't think straight, so he sought an explanation, or at least damage control. Neither her going live nor Rasheeda finding out in this manner was something he had anticipated. "I messed up badly," Kirk muttered, rubbing his eyes. "Scrappy didn't move you good." Scrappy shook his head. "You always do, man, and she always takes you back." I hoped we would be reunited, even though I knew he hadn't changed. Before the door opened and Mimi stepped in Yandandi's face, I hurried over to view the live broadcast since she was scared. "Are you okay? You don't have to go through this," Mimi remarked, sitting next to Rasheeda. "But I'll be there," Rasheeda responded weakly. Despite security efforts, the photographers were shouting questions such as, "Did Kirk actually cheat again?" And when we got you alone, they had already begun to congregate outside the studio. Someone had leaked that there was drama taking place during filming, and now all the outlets wanted to be involved, Rasheeda said. Twitter was ablaze with accusations against the other lady, the mysterious woman whose real name was now Tamika, a model, as fans discovered her Instagram account, looked through all of her posts, and connected certain images to locations Kirk had previously been. It was obvious. And Tama wasn't hiding. In fact, she was relishing the attention by posting threatening posts like, "Don't act shocked when the truth comes out." Some people don't recognize a true one until it's too late. Kirk was finally withdrawing into a quiet place as a result of an internal breakdown. "Why did you send that voice?" "Message," he yelled. "Don't start yelling at me." When Tamika answered the phone, "You said all those things and I just kept receipts," she continued coolly. "A staircase, you ripped it off." "You just ruined my life," Kirk groaned angrily. "And you claimed to love me," Tamika said. "It seems that we both lied." "No, Kirk," she said, "you did that yourself." Kirk's phone was a complete mess, and when the connection was lost, he slammed it against the wall and watched it break into pieces, which was the final straw before he could argue any longer. Mona, on the other hand, had come on set looking irritated. But she maintained her composure by yanking Yandi away. After seeing him cheating with Tamika, Rasheeda smacked him and went live. Mona is holding the bridge of her nose after the video went viral. "Damn it, this might blow up the entire season, and we have responsibilities to complete and a reunion to record. Maybe. We should care less about the program and more about the lives of these people." "You're right, but we have to figure out the repercussions, who is talking to whom, and what will Rasheeda do? She's hurt, but she's not thinking about statements or interviews right now." Mona paused, then nodded slowly. "You had better say something." "Nice," because Mona looked at him coldly. As Wendy was considering how she would tell her children that their father was out here embarrassing the family again, Kirk, who appeared 10 years older than he actually was, walked cautiously up to Mona and asked if they could speak with her arms crossed. Mona stated, "I want you to stop hiding behind lies." Kirk agreed, adding, "Tamika will speak your truth if you don't." Kirk continued, "I want to make this right with Rasheeda and the fans, so I'm not running this time." Mimi looked at her and whispered, "What are you thinking?" Kirk nodded slowly, setting it up somewhere else. "I've come too far for him to ruin me again." Rasha finally got up and wiped away her tears, saying, "I'm not just Kurt's wife, I'm Rasheeda, and I've built a brand and a business. I think I need to remind people who I am." Rasheeda took a big breath, straightened herself, and headed to the set. Kirk emerged from the door as she arrived. "I'm going back to that studio, not for him, but for me, to tell my side, and I'm done with him. And a legacy, and I won't let any man damage that." The cameras in the producer's room were already rolling. Mike had his shirt clipped, and everyone in the studio held their breath. Kirk asked Rasheeda, "Can we have a conversation?" "If you want to talk," she said coolly after glancing at him and then the camera. Kirk took a long breath and realized that he had made a mistake once more, and that there was no justification this time. "You better be ready to say it in front of everyone, because I'm done with secrets." The next chapter abruptly changed into something much more obvious and much more deadly. He was nervous, expecting Rasheeda to interrupt, but she just stared at him, her silence encouraging him. He acknowledged that the tryst wasn't intended to be anything serious and that it began during a business trip. "You didn't really see me anymore, so I guess I was feeling abandoned. But that's my selfishness. Not your fault, Kirk. I was running our businesses, maintaining our brands, and keeping the house together while you were away moping in your own unhappiness. I did nothing to stop him from having sex with models." Which may sound pitiful, but you misled me. Months went by, and when she threatened to go public, I panicked and tried to stop it. But Rasheeda's face tightened because I was too far in. When he said, "I didn't want to hurt you," she snapped. "But you did. You hurt me more than ever before. And you did it in the studio without even flinching. You made breakfast with me, tucked our kids in every day, and took Instagram pictures. As if we were a picture-perfect couple," was tense, and the camera crew continued to capture the pure essence of the moment. Mona was crying while watching from the monitor room because this was actual pain occurring in real time, not reality TV. "I'm sorry," Rasheeda Kirk muttered. "I know that's not enough, but I need you to hear me say it." Kirk's eyes had turned. Shiny and Rasheeda shook her head slowly and whispered, "I'm sorry. You always say you're sorry after the damage is done. But what about the trust you betrayed? What about the public humiliation? I slapped you in front of everyone because you made me feel foolish for loving you, not because of the affair." A producer whispered in Mona's ear, "You're not going to believe this." And before she could respond, a loud bang shook the studio door, causing everyone to turn around. Mama hurried to Rasheeda and Kirk, saying, "Tommy is here." And Rasheeda blinked at her words. When Kirk swore, Mona looked between them and said, "You want me to shut her down?" She came demanding to talk. Apparently she has more receipts, and she is threatening to kill herself if we don't let her in. After pausing, Rasheeda got to her feet and refused to let her in. A few moments later, Tomika came into the room with a sense of ownership. Her whole outfit was designer and she had a hostile expression on her face. "Well, this is snug," she mumbled as she looked about. Kirk seemed ashamed. "Why are you here, Tama?" She folded her arms and exclaimed, "Oh, please don't act like you. We're the villain when you were the one slipping into my den, making promises and acting like we had something real." Rasheeda graciously offered my side, stating, "Because I'm tired of being painted as the villain. Don't blame me for his decisions." "You leaked the voice note," said Kirk. "And I'll leak the videos too if you keep lying." Tamika responded, "You had no idea that he was married, but you didn't flinch." "Of course I did. And he knew he was cheating, but he kept coming back." As soon as news broke that Tama had entered the building, fans began flooding Twitter with real-time updates. Rasha turned to Tamika and stated, "You think you're the victim here?" While crew members exchanged nervous looks, and Mona gave the cameras the all clear to start recording again. "You think you can threaten us by coming here? Gives you power. If you're just a footnote in a long list of women Kirk exploited to ruin himself. You've been covering for him for years. Maybe I just did what you never could, disclose the truth. The only person who dared to speak out about it was me," Tamika retorted. "You didn't expose the truth. You exposed yourself. And you showed the world that you were okay being someone's secret, someone's side piece, and now you're proud of it." Tamika whispered, her jaw tensing but taking a deep breath instead of cracking. After saying, "Hey y'all," she turned to Kirk and continued, "You'll never get it with that." Kirk took the phone from her and hung up, but she continued, "Since the truth is out, let me break it all down." When security finally intervened and dragged Tamika away, Tamika rolled her eyes and yelled, "Stop, enough with this cloud chasing. This is my life falling apart," as Kirk collapsed into a chair, his head in his hands. Bearing the weight, when his decisions abruptly collapsed, Rasheeda was sitting outside her car with her hands on the steering wheel. Her phone buzzed with notifications of admiring messages from fans and shocked questions about what would happen next. Rasheeda said, "But I'm sure you don't want to return." Many people called her and said, "Okay, no." As soon as I left, Yandi and Scrappy sat in a quiet room across town watching everything occur live on a broadcast, and Yandi said, "This might be the messiest scene. Now it's time for me to finish this chapter." "Yeah," Scrappy replied, "but for once, perhaps it's the realest too." The live stream footage of Tamika's scream after Rasheeda's departure demonstrated that even though night had fallen, the pandemonium between Kirk and Rasheeda was far from ended. Fans were taking sides, and hashtags like #Team RASHIDA and #KirkPicsExposed were trending. Blogs were analyzing every frame of the leaked movie, with some claiming it was genuine heartbreak captured in the video and others claiming it was just another staged moment for ratings. Upon arriving home, Rasheeda sat in silence, shut off the lights, and ignored the numerous missed calls from Kirk, Mona, and even Yandandi, before finally sobbing as she read the supportive comments from admirers. "You deserve better," saw the pain in your eyes go away forever. But Kirk's betrayal left a hole in her heart that no amount of online support could fill. Kirk, on the other hand, sat by himself in a hotel room looking at his reflection in the mirror, looking broken. As if he had finally come to terms with the price of his luggage was unpacked. His thoughts were racing, and the motel bed was still in its original position. He typed a message, erased it, and attempted to call Rasheeda again through voicemail. Writing, "I know I don't deserve another chance, but I'm not giving up on you yet." Not sure if she would read it. The headlines the following morning were crude. Gossip sites were having a blast, and when Kirk's side chick crashed, Tamika revealed the truth. And Mona Scott's reality program plunged into real-life chaos. The network convened an emergency meeting because fans were demanding answers and advertisers were worried. Mona called Yandandi, hoping to get help in resolving the issue because she was enjoying the spike in ratings, but was concerned about the possible damage control. Would you be able to talk to Rasheeda and possibly help her make a comeback for a fitting season finale? At the time, she was not thinking about the show. Mona mentioned pacing in relation to survival. But if we don't finish this, the audience will lose interest. Yandi firmly stated that Rasheeda needs peace. And if that means avoiding the cameras, then so be it. Mona knew Yandandi was correct, but she didn't want to allow that to happen. So she didn't object. At least one final confrontation is missing from the story's ending. 2 days later, Kurt asked Rasheeda to have a last talk with him without any cameras or crew, and she agreed, but only on certain terms. Rasheeda was already seated at her desk, and Kirk appeared anxious when he arrived at her studio. "Thanks for coming," began Kirk in a whisper. "But I didn't do it for you," Rasheeda said, gesturing for him to sit, and he nodded. "Whatever you came here for, I did it for myself to get closure." There was no kiss, no embrace, no light conversation. It's just stillness and distance at the desk. "I know I let you down in ways I can't even quantify. And I don't expect forgiveness, but I must take responsibility for my acts. Not only the dishonesty, the disrespect, and the manner." Rasheeda listened emotionlessly while you practiced saying, "No, I don't need a pardon. Let's pretend he took a breath." As he thought back on our past together, Kirk's eyes welled up with tears, and he said, "I need to rediscover who I am without you. Are we really done? But for now, yes, I need space. I need healing. I need to breathe without feeling like I'm drowning in betrayal," she said openly. And Kirk fought the urge to inquire if Kirk turned and left the studio where reporters were waiting, ignoring them as he pushed through the crowd, dazzled by the flashes. "If you ever need me, I'll be here," she muttered. "That's the problem. You were always there but never really present." Rasheeda finally examined the letter, which was filled with grief and the loss of something sacred. The harsh words did not dull the agony, so she wiped her eyes, folded it up again, and went to the recording studio. "Roll it," she said to her engineer. "Are you sure?" Within hours of Rasheeda posting the unexpected freestyle on Instagram, followers went crazy, yelling, "This is the realest thing. I have to turn this pain into something powerful," she continued. "If Kirk is allowed to tell the story, then I am too." Just words directly from the heart, without a beat or hook. One reader said, "Give her a Grammy for emotional honesty." Another said, "Even Tamika couldn't help but watch in silence as her moment in the spotlight had fizzled." Swiftly, with her fans abandoning her, her followers dwindling, and the brand she was chasing pausing to respond, Yandi went to Rasheeda in the interim to see how she was doing. Her clout-chasing homewrecker. "This isn't love and hip-hop. This is a mess." Yandi said, "Yes, you're stronger than all of Theme," Rasheeda said. "I didn't want to prove anything." With a small smile, Rasheeda continued, "I just wanted peace. So what's next?" Kirk continued to observe her, and she remained silent as followers and bloggers continued to post and converse. Since her actions spoke for themselves, he put freestyle on repeat and mentally reenacted every scenario because for the first time, he felt as though he might have lost her. What began as a shocking slap suddenly evolved into a revelation that rocked the love world, leaving hip-hop fans reeling from both the unfiltered and the betrayal. While Kirk Frost is now dealing with the fallout from his actions alone, Rasheeda is starting a new chapter that will be full of healing, freedom, and advancement. No controversy can override her silence, and no scandal can overpower her speech. Rasheeda showed off her emotional fortitude by walking with her head held high. The question remains, is Kirk and Rasheeda's relationship over? Or is this simply another upheaval in their complex romance? They decided to make it more significant than any tabloid headline. Will Kirk try to win back Rasheeda's trust? Or is she done being the forgiving wife? What will Tamika fade into obscurity? Or will she keep causing mischief in the background? Fans are already discussing and speculating online, and the drama is far from over. Hip-hop love has seen many highs and lows, but nothing has ever happened exactly like this. The slap was short, but it's still everyone's lives will be impacted in the long run. This is your chance to share your opinions. Do you believe Rasheeda should bring Kirk back, or is it time for her to move on permanently? Please remember to like this video and leave a comment below if what happened surprised you, to ensure you don't miss any more insane developments. Hit the subscribe button. There will be more drama ahead. Approaching you.